What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we get an update from Brian Windhorst on Josh Giddey and where does he stand with the Chicago Bulls in terms of getting this contract extension done. I am still stunned that we haven't gotten that notification yet that Giddey will be extended for that 3-year deal, but this is what Windy had to say, saying, we don't have any update on Josh Giddey. They're not coming to a deal anytime soon from what I understand. And, once we went through the first couple of days of free agency and now we're on day 3, I kind of assumed that this was going to drag out just a little bit. But after Windhorst saying that, I think it will no doubt drag out. I don't think this will go, into like the 3rd week of July. Probably, hopefully sometime next week the Bulls get this done. But I'll be explaining why here in a second, why this could potentially drag out for a little bit. But before we do so, if we get any more updates on Josh Giddey getting an extension from the Chicago Bulls, we will have a video for you guys ASAP. So hit that subscribe button today. And plus, we're only 50 subs away from 12,500 subscribers here on the channel. So if you guys have not already, hit that subscribe button today and lock us in as your go-to Bulls YouTube channel. All right, so why could this potentially drag out? Well, after free agency came and went so far throughout the first couple of days, the Bulls are just bidding against themselves for Josh Giddey. Now, the one team that could have tossed Josh Giddey a bag in free agency was the Brooklyn Nets. They were the only team with enough cap space to fill what Josh Giddey would desire in free agency, but they took Igor Demon in the first round at pick number 8. They also drafted 2 other guards in the first round of the NBA draft, and then they also took on Michael Porter Jr.'s contract from a trade with the Denver Nuggets. So they, one, don't really have a need for Josh Giddey anymore, and they also don't have money to throw at Josh Giddey. So you look across the NBA world, what other team could throw him the bag? It's really only the Chicago Bulls. And, Giddey was awesome for the Bulls during the second half of the season. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you guys see the uptick from the first 51 games before the All-Star break, only averaging 12, 7, 6.5. Pretty efficient from the field and, not bad shooting 34.5% from downtown. But post-All-Star break, Giddey was an animal. Almost averaging a 20-point triple-double. We saw the efficiency skyrocket, which was huge, especially from beyond the arc. And, I actually saw Giddey show some fight defensively post-All-Star break. Like, I remember that Lakers game, not the one where he hit the game winner, but the one where the Bulls won in Los Angeles where Buzelis had that 34-point masterclass. Giddey was picking up Luka Doncic full court. He actually saw some defensive intensity. Now, was he doing a fantastic job? Not really, but I still love to see that fight and that want to guard. And if Giddey can keep on developing that, and he doesn't ever have to be like an all-world defender at a point in his NBA career, he just needs to be serviceable. He can't be a cone out there where teams are bringing him up in the pick and roll, trying to beat him off the dribble, and then the Bulls just get in rotation over and over again. He just needs to have some fight, be a serviceable defender. And my offer to Giddey, I don't see why the Bulls can't get this deal done. What about just a 3-year deal for $70 million? It comes out to $23 million per year. And I know Giddey, he probably wants $30 million, so he would probably want 3 for $90 or potentially 4 for $120. But if the Bulls put this offer down, I say they just have that on the table, let Giddey go and test the market because I'm sure he is not going to get another offer from a team that's nearly $23 million. So I say you put down 3 for $70. He can go test the market, see what he can get, but I think that deal should get it done. Now, it may take a while. Giddey may be, negotiating with the Bulls front office, trying to get that up to $90 million total over 3 seasons, but I think 70 is more than fair. And honestly, this deal, this would be a bargain. This would have Bulls fans investing in Giddey, where it's like, yeah, he's making $23 million a year, but for a guy that could potentially be an all-star in the East next season, I think that would be a bargain deal for Josh Giddey. But I'll ask you guys this. Get your wallets out for me. How much per year would you offer Josh Giddey? I was originally saying $30 million is the max. Honestly, after how free agency and the draft have shaken out, I think $27, $28 million is the max I would give him. So if you guys could, let me know your thoughts down below. Now, quickly here, I want to get an update on the Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade. K.C. Johnson was talking yesterday and where the Bulls stand. He says he's heard nothing about the Bulls potentially getting involved in a sign and trade for Jonathan Kuminga. Now, just some clarity here. Let's just say Jonathan Kuminga signs a 3-year, $75 million contract. The Bulls would have to send half of that salary, and that's as max as they would send. So technically, Nikola Vucevic making $20 million. Kuminga would have to sign a $40 million contract extension, which obviously is not going to happen. But Kobe White would fit in that bill with him making $12 million per year. That's half of that 25. But again, I don't think the Bulls would entertain a Kobe White for Jonathan Kuminga sign and trade. So most likely the Bulls will not be trading for Kuminga. Now we'll talk about top free agent targets here in a second for the Chicago Bulls. But before we do so, if you guys want to get a t-shirt combo, they're on sale right now. Normally these are $49.99, but right now they're $29.99. So you guys can get 2 t-shirts for $30. Just click that link, chatsports.com/Bulls combo. These things are fresh. I got these actually last summer. Super comfortable, wash very well. So if you guys want to get a 2 t-shirt combo for your Chicago Bulls, hit that link, chatsports.com/Bulls combo. Now, even though I don't think the Bulls will make any more moves in free agency after signing Trey Jones, that 3-year, $24 million deal, I do just want to go over some bargain options for the Bulls, a couple of centers, and specifically a polarizing guard here that we'll start off with, and that being Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, he has had one of the most intriguing NBA careers we have possibly ever seen. Well, the first couple of years of his career, I mean, we were looking at this guy as he could be a face of the league potentially. I mean, Colin Cowherd has that famous clip where he's saying, "Hey, LeBron, we're all good. Ben Simmons is here." One of the funniest clips now looking back on it. But this past season, he still got that playmaking bag in him. Obviously, being a 6'9", 6'10" point guard, has great defensive ability. Obviously, a very good playmaker there. But from the Bulls side of things, I would really have no interest in Ben Simmons. I guess you could take a flyer on him, getting back to who he was, but the Bulls have enough guards there. I think they should just pass on Ben Simmons. But I know a lot of fans are intrigued by the option of DeAndre Ayton. Now, I fully expect DeAndre Ayton to sign with the Los Angeles Lakers at some point during free agency. But for his fit with the Bulls, I would probably be against it because you know who he reminds me of? Nikola Vucevic, an offensive-minded center who can just be a walk-in. I mean, you guys see the stats. He's a walk-in double-double. Like, he's very similar to Vooch, where he can just stack 15 and 10 games over and over again. He can kind of trick fans into thinking, he's a positive player and makes a positive impact out there. But I would rather have the Bulls try to find that defensive-minded center. And that's why I wanted them to draft Thomas Sorber so bad. That guy was an anchor for Georgetown his final year in college. I would rather have them draft him over Noah Senge and get that defensive-minded center of the future. But DeAndre Ayton, really no interest there. And, Russell Westbrook, he's still out there. I don't really have any interest in Russ as well. Now, if the Bulls are in a different spot, maybe they were like the Denver Nuggets were this past season where they're trying to compete for championships and they just need that guy to come off the bench, bring energy, which we obviously know Russ will bring just that. I mean, he is a spark. He's actually turned himself into a pretty damn good defender in the NBA over the last couple of years, mainly just because the fight and the athleticism that he brings. He can actually keep guards in front at a pretty high level. And also Russ would be like a perfect guy. Like if you are competing for a championship and maybe like your starting point guard has had some injury history, he can come in there, man the ship for like a 2-3 week stretch. But with where the Bulls are at right now, they need to develop their young talent, and Russ would definitely take away from that. But the one center on here, and actually the one player I would have some interest in, is Mo Wagner. He was bought out by the Orlando Magic after they made that trade for Desmond Bane. And, even though he is not a great switchable big on the perimeter, he can still protect the rim at a decent level. And I think he would just, he would pretty much be on the same level of like a guy like a Zach Collins. And obviously Zach Collins doesn't have the rim protection I think Mo does. But I do think Mo, if the Bulls end up trading Vooch, this could be a guy they end up signing, maybe, next week here in free agency. But another center on this list that's still out there. Pretty much point being here, free agents are there's not a ton of good ones out there right now. But Jaxson Hayes, I mean, he was unplayable for the Lakers this past postseason run. I mean, J.J. Redick was running the same 5-man unit because he just had no faith in Jaxson Hayes to get it done. So I don't really have any interest there. And, overall, I highly doubt the Bulls will sign another player. They already have a lot of guards. They got a lot of wings. They got a lot of big guys now. Like, this whole roster is necessarily complete. Now, could they make a trade? I think that's definitely still on the table, and we'll talk about another video coming out later today about Cam Whitmore and Anthony Simons if the Bulls could trade for those two. But I highly doubt they sign another player. Maybe it's some random guy on a vet min deal, but I really don't have any interest. Take that cap space, roll it in the next season where there'll be a lot better free agents. You still have your MLE. They did not use that this year, which I thought was a fantastic move by the Bulls front office. I was a little nervous that they would maybe toss Nickeil Alexander-Walker a bag, and he's a fantastic player, but that's not really what the Bulls need right now. They need to develop their young talent, and if you would bring in another guy, it could hinder that development just a little bit. But maybe you guys disagree. Maybe there's a player out there you want the Bulls to sign. Name that player down below in the comments section. We'll see you guys next time. As always, go Bulls.